Hey everyone, NATO King again, and it's time to move on in Folklore and check out the second half of the fairy realm as Ellen. There's a lot more to do, so let's get right to it and talk to these fairies who just happen to be hanging out here. Every time someone says, "I don't believe in fairies," a fairy somewhere drops down dead! Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier being kind of curious about what happens if you die in the land of the dead. Turns out you just vanish. But here's a new folk, right away. This is the namesake of the Road of Daru. And it's basically Ellen's equivalent of Trent. Which I guess means these guys are likely to drop cold tree nuts. He's good at getting out of the way of Bugaboo, anyway. But not very difficult to capture. And now I've actually got a strong attack. Just gotta watch out because he attacks more than once. Oh, he drops worm tree nuts. I don't have anything that needs those to build up. Oh, I need 3 ids or defeating 10 folks. That won't be too hard. I mean, there's one more right here. And while its attack only hits once and takes a while to go off, it's still quite effective. Just once again, very bad at hitting things really close up. That's a little high up, but no problem for Daru. And I'll just slowly go around collecting my prizes. I'm sure one of these things is going to have an ambush in it. Probably this one. Nope, it's empty. Ah, there's our enemy. Just one more Daru. I think the great thing about Daru's attack is it's nice and long range. I don't have a whole lot of attacks right now that can hit things from that far away. And I'm rank 2 already. But aside from getting a little more HP, it's not all that exciting. So, back into the room. I might as well capture one more Daru and build up the strongest attack I've got. Yeah, Kilmulis is not all that effective against blocking their attacks unless you can rapidly use it. So I think the best thing to do with these guys is get out of their way. And if you can fight back with a Daru of your own, so much the better. And I need 5 more ids. Not going to hang around and wait for those. Let's just move on. Now, we met Livane as Keats here, but... what's Hervé doing here? You're not supposed to be here. and then he just disappears. So Hervé's actually part of the main plot, not just side quest material. Anyway, more fighting to do, and now I actually know how to deal with Bugaboo. But since I don't need to capture him, might as well just take him down. The nice thing is Daru's attack is such long range that it can hit Bugaboo right through the spines. I'll get this annoying fellow out of the way. And that's one kill for Daru. 9 more to go. And no, I don't think I'll be trying to do those in this video. So up there should be the next mini-boss, but we have neither the picture page to tell us how to fight it, nor the folk I'm going to need. So let's just deal with Augma. It hasn't changed much from when we fought it as Keats, so I know the techniques to use. Staying behind it is actually pretty difficult. So I'll just keep my distance and wait for it to charge. And Daru is actually handy if it decides not to charge and tries to stay out of my range. I got a much bigger range than you, pal. And Augma is fortunately nice and quick to capture. And it has exactly the same attack for Ellen as it does for Keats. Which is not true of all folks. I need to defeat Kushi to build this up, which I think is a Chapter 3 folk. There's a difference between the Ketchi and the Kushi, and I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing either of them correctly. But this is where we met Hinky Punk as Keats, and we meet Brownie as Ellen, although I honestly hadn't noticed that it wasn't just another impet. These guys are the final status effect we're going to meet. They have the charm effect, which still just basically stuns whatever it hits. Not a whole lot of difference between status effects except for what's vulnerable to them. And now we get the picture book page for our mini-boss. And we see it's a bargaist running away from an augma. As Ellen, we have to use the slash element to take down bargaist, which makes it very fortunate that we've got an augma. So let's give Brownie a try. No effect. Oh well, if I'm gonna get anything out of fighting this guy, it's gonna have to be experience. Wow, I actually placed it just outside of its attack range. Bugaboo is at least hardly threatening. I was kind of hoping Daru would be a little stronger than this. Absolutely pathetic. I was going to say I don't know why I bother, but I do know why I bother. Because it's that pathetic. I need to build it up. And around the corner, 2 more Daru. And if I'm careful with this, I can absorb both of them at the same time. And Ketchi is just way too slow to actually hit them. And they're immune to charm, of course. Can I hit them with a bond attack? Nope, they're immune to that too. But once again, it happened at the edge of the screen and I didn't notice. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to defend against their attacks from Kilmulis. And like always, I get a little impatient, capture one, when the other one is one hit away. At least I recover a bit of health, which is good, because it's time to go fight Bargaist. Well hey, at least this time I know its attack patterns, I know its weakness. I should be able to beat it without too much trouble. And already I'm on its bad side. It doesn't look nearly as intimidating anymore. And the slash attack is going to be quite effective. In fact, I managed to stop it using its spine attack, which doesn't really buy me a whole lot. I know exactly how many hits I can get in before it's time to get out of range. And all that really does is save me a bit of time waiting for it to retract its spine so I can go in and attack it again. And fortunately it's not dead yet, because I do need to capture this one. Largely because I don't have any destroy element attacks yet. And I will quite soon. And as the description says, for Ellen, Bargaist is a chargeable attack. So I can actually hold down the attack button and charge it up to get a more powerful attack. Which we'll be seeing eventually, but for now, I'm going to take a look at the folks that I've got. Check out some of the karmas that I need. One more Bargaist. I'll do that eventually. But every slot on this row is full, except there's one folk in this realm I still haven't caught. And when there's a folk after the mini-boss, that generally means it's a secret folk. So I'll be using this portal to show it to you. Yeah, I would be concerned about that, but we've already played as Keats, so we know what's going on. It's just that Ellen hasn't seen him in the Netherworld yet. So to find the secret folk for this realm, first you have to capture one of every other folk. Then you head back to the Road of Daru, and head back to this dead end where we first met Daru. Now there's going to be an additional folk here. You might be able to see it flying around behind those rocks and spraying its charm powder everywhere. Which, for some reason, summons a bunch of Daru and augma. Which I have to deal with, of course. Not all that difficult. I've got a nice wide range attack that I can use to hit a bunch of folks at once. But they're going to continue assaulting me from all sides anyway. And with attacks that rapid, Kilmoulis is not as useful as I'd like. I just gotta capture them as soon as I can. And slowly wear down the number of enemies until it's something I can manage. And I told you I wouldn't have to go out of my way to capture more Daru. So just one augma left. And I've dealt with enough of these by now. I'm actually getting the timing right on the shield sometimes, too. It's pretty impressive. Alright. Just go ahead and capture this guy, because I actually do need to capture some augmas for my karmas now. And now, might as well grab these stones before moving on. Well, I guess one of those had an ambush in it. So now I gotta fight, I believe, 2 augma and 1 Daru. Which is a heck of a lot tougher. Never do this. I don't know how I managed to capture that augma without getting hit, but that's what's generally gonna happen. Almost done. Okay, now I can move on and deal with the folk. And I've got Augma's new karma. Now we get to fight Chefrow. And once again it's spraying its charm powder around. Fortunately, I know from my past experiences I need to use sleep attacks on Chefrow, and now I get it. Chefrow is summoning all these extra folks to fight, because it has no attacks of its own. So I'm just gonna run around here and get torn up a whole bunch. Don't mind me and my fast motion fighting. I think if I die, it doesn't quite set me back to the last time I saved. I still get to keep some of the experience and folks that I've captured and so on. I honestly don't know what the penalty is for death, other than you can't continue from that point. Alright, now to deal with Chefrow. Or not, because now I've got more things to fight. I think the trick is going to be, don't kill everything. Well, that was new. Apparently I can bring out Daru's red id with a single attack, putting it to sleep. That would have been good to know 10 minutes ago. Meanwhile, I'm rapidly discovering that my sleep attack doesn't go high enough to hit Chefrow. So I'll just clear out these mystery stones, see if there's anything valuable in them. And meanwhile, an augma will manage to make its way around the rock, come after me. It's still immune to sleep. And another augma. The good news is, this wave, Chefrow summons 2 augma and 2 Daru. So I've actually got 1 more Daru hidden behind the rocks. Take some of these guys down. As long as I don't defeat all of the summoned folks, there won't be any more summoned. So I can take down this augma, leave the Daru on the other side of the rocks, and finally get to work capturing the last folk for the realm. Now, it's up so high I can't hit it. I really don't know why I summoned an impet there. That's not going to do me any good. Henki is the one that can hit enemies out of the air. And that brings it down to my level. Problem is, Catchy takes so long to attack, I need to have it summoned before the water hits Chefrow. And this process takes, frankly, forever. So I'm going to skip ahead to the conclusion. Yep, I hit it with water too many times and only managed to hit it with sleep once. And it died. After all that, I was just done. Take out this Daru. And such was the tale of Chefrow. you really don't want to fight this thing just yet. You need to come back when you've actually got a sleep attack that's worth using. But hey, when have I ever given up on anything just because I wasn't able to do it? So, with one Daru sitting on the far side of the rocks, like before, actually I think it's an augma. Doesn't matter, there's one folk still remaining over there. It can't get to me, its pathfinding doesn't allow it to move around the rock. And now I just blast water into the air. The trick is you have to wait until chefrow actually stops moving before you release the water bubble. Otherwise it's just not going to be able to target. And you don't get very many tries, because I think 6 or 7 water bubbles will destroy chefrow. I thought I had it there, but it landed on top of the catchy that I had just summoned and recovered instantly. This time I've got it. And finally the capture process begins, and this is the toughest folk to capture in the entire chapter. It doesn't turn red for very long, so you gotta be really fast. And every time you pull up at the wrong time, it recovers a little bit of its red. So, of course, due to the nature of the fight, there's always another folk in the room somewhere, just waiting to find its way around the rock, or maybe attack you straight through it, knock you out of this animation, and make you start the whole thing over from scratch. But finally, I have my chefrow. And it gives me a yellow dust, and guess what it needs to level up? Purple dust, which I don't have. So, I've just got one more augma to fight, and then I am done. Still can't put it to sleep. And I still have no idea why I even bother with the status effects. That would be why. Augma can be bonded. So okay, I think we're done here. I'll play around with chefrow a bit more in the next video, because I really don't want to spend any more time. I think I've cut out a total of something like 14 minutes so far. See you next time, and we'll do some quests.